Steinberg from OddsShopper here to break down another NBA slate, and we've got a full one on Wednesday, nearly every team in action. So more options to choose from while you come and like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also, leave me a comment below to let me know whatever it is that you guys have money on for today. I love to see any of the thoughts that you guys have in terms of what your opinions are on my bets or anything that you personally have your money on that I didn't talk about. And recapping yesterday's slate, which was a profitable one. So I gave out 2 bets in my video. They're both plus money bets. So the hope was one of those 2 bets would win and we come away profitable for the day, which ended up being the case. Had Klay Thompson over 3.5 rebounds at plus 113. That ended up winning, and that one won pretty easily. Klay sucked otherwise, but at least from a rebound perspective, I think he actually had 6 in the first half, so that won fairly easily. And then the other one, I had Reggie Jackson under 6.5 assists, also at plus money. That one lost fairly easily. Reggie Jackson had a whole bunch of assists, but like we said yesterday, 2 plus money bets that were looked at as being fairly close to 50-50 in our projections. We just needed to win one of those at plus money, and it was going to be a profitable day. So overall, the thesis ended up coming through there. As for Wednesday, like I said, there's going to be a little more to look at in terms of betting angles for today with so many more games. And let's break those down right now. My favorite NBA bets for the Wednesday slate. So to start us off, I'm looking at over 7.5 rebounds for Kyle Kuzma. We have him projected for 9.1, and these might seem like really big numbers for Kyle Kuzma on the surface, but looking at some of his numbers for this year, particularly as of late, it really does make a lot of sense as to why we would have such a high rebound projection for Kyle Kuzma. Because if you look at him over the last couple of weeks, it's not just that the rebound totals have been significant, it's the way he's doing it. It's the reason he's accumulating so many counting stats is because his playing time is just absurd over the last couple of weeks. So if we go back to the games from November 10th until now, he has played upwards of 40 minutes in more games that he has played less than 34 minutes. Played as many as 41 minutes in some of those games, 40, 41. So some really big playing time from Kyle Kuzma as of late, which is why the rebounds have been big. The last handful of games over the stretch, 8 rebounds, 7, 7, 10, 8, 10, 11, 8, 11. So over the course of the last 3 weeks, we've only seen 2 games that Kyle Kuzma has less than 7.5 rebounds. And when he was in those games, he was at 7 on the dot. So the floor for Kyle Kuzma has been really high in terms of rebounds. And then obviously the ceiling has been really high as well. When he's playing 40, 41 minutes, we're seeing him put up games with double-digit rebounds. And that's why I think this bet makes a whole lot of sense, because it's easy to project Kyle Kuzma to pull down 8 or more rebounds when we're expecting to play 36 to 38, maybe even 40 minutes in any one given game. Pretty good matchup tonight against the Nets. We're also going to be without Ben Simmons, who's one of the better rebounders on the team. That should benefit Kuzma a little bit in this spot. So our numbers, we've the over winning 69% of the time. That's value I could get behind. So give me Kyle Kuzma for over 7.5 rebounds. If you guys haven't collected your free $200 yet from BetMGM, there's still time, because they have an offer going on right now where if you sign up for the first...
That like right after we've finished talking, like, just have like an engaging, amusing conversation, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna turn the mics on so everybody can hear us now, and it's like, I'm gonna say, you just wonder what to say. Now I'm just sitting here filling space. You want me to go back down? Okay. No worries. Go like here. I'll split the difference between where it was and where it stopped. What's happening, Stokastic basketball fans? Happy Wednesday to you out there. Terry McBride here. I'm here with my buddy Gundacker. We're here to break down the NBA slate. Big one today for No House Advantage. Ton of games on the board. We've got only 1 game on the board tomorrow, apparently. We were just talking about that behind the scenes. So get your basketball fix in today, because it's going to be a little bit thin on Thursday. But we're going to go through the entire No House Advantage slate. We're brought to you by those good people over at No House. We'll talk about them a little bit more and a little bit in depth, give you a little teaser of a promo code or something like that, some kind of an offer in our ad read in a little bit here. But Gun, how's your day going? How's your midweek? How's your week been, et cetera, et cetera?
Here, so far so good. I've definitely been awake more than 20 minutes, so far so good.
That's a plus. I had one of those kind of days too. I've got a little bit of time on this side of consciousness, but I woke up at like, I don't know, like 11 something today. I woke up, fed the pets, went back to bed, woke up like 11 something, dark outside. Woke up again a little bit later, dark outside. Right now, 3:30 in the afternoon, dark outside. I don't know if it's on the news everywhere, but the sun has not come up today in New Jersey. So I don't know what's going on, but not exactly an outdoor kind of a day. But yeah, good day to sit inside and pick apart a basketball slate, I guess. So we can get into that, and we'll dive in. What are you seeing off the top, Gun, as far as big slate? Obviously, there's going to be a ton of GTDs and injury situations, but any that really stand out to you that might be impacting this slate as we get started here?
Yeah, we just lost SGA about an hour ago, and that's gonna make the DFS world much more tilting than we wanted it to be. But for the most part, it's run of the mill cues that we deal with. I think if Jaylen Brown misses, that's gonna be massive for Tatum. Hero has a Q tag. Dylan Brooks is questionable. Jaden McDaniels questionable. Bamba questionable. The heavyweight names I think are mostly in outside of SGA, so that'll be fun to deal with. We do have Ingram still down, so extra usage for Zion and CJ McCollum, but nothing that I'm waiting on, hopefully, knock on wood, to really shape stuff. But if it does, for no house advantage, it just makes the Lions that much more appealing to us.
Yep, absolutely. It's the situation we talk about it all the time. Those lines come out in the morning, they're static, they don't get changed during the day, so you can capitalize on them. They're a lot like salaries, where there will be a line that all of a sudden might emerge because of somebody's absence, where, hey, all of a sudden now this looks like way off. This guy's going to play 30 minutes and he's going to easily cruise through 1.5 assists or whatever the line looks like. So definitely important to pay attention to changing situations throughout the day. We've also got a ton of great opportunities on the board from No House just at the start of the day. The way they structure these slates, there are a number of 90+% probability picks according to our projections on the site, which are free for everybody to use. You can jump over to Stokastic, pull up the free projections and follow along with us, build your lineups with those. We've also got free optimal lineups over there. So just diving in, Gun, we've got same name up at the top of the board. We're starting with the unders today, either the PRA or the rebounds on its own for Scotty Barnes. PRA is sitting at 31.5, rebounds are sitting at 8.5. What are we thinking on Scotty Barnes tonight?
Yeah, Siakam and Van Vliet kind of back in the fold. And Scotty Barnes had missed some time. And what we saw last game from the Raptors and Nick Nurse, who's one of the most reliable, trustworthy coaches in basketball. That's a joke.
Yeah, no, I was with
Scotty Barnes came off the bench and played just 26 minutes. So I would agree with the projection on the under here. It's kind of lofty, especially with some of those usage guys back in the fold. So I'm with the under.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Just looking at some of the numbers on it, we've got him projected at 29.5 minutes. He's averaged 33.1 over the last or over the course of the season. 3 games back, he played 46 minutes, 27 the last time out, with more of a full complement of players. So as they get healthy, as they get more solid, I expect he's going to settle into that sub 30 range, 29 to 30-ish, 31 maybe. In the 33.1 that he's averaged, he's putting up a 26.2 PRA. Against a 31.5 line, I mean, he would have to be out there without probably both Siakam and Van Vliet, or at least without one of them today, to have any chance of approaching that line. So I think that's a solid one. The rebounds on its own, 8.5 against a 5.9 projection, also looks really clean. That one's sitting 93.2% for us. The other 90+% on the under side of things, Benedict Mathurin. He was sitting here the other day, and he's back up toward the top here. 23.6 is our projection against the 30.5 line for Mathurin. What are you seeing for him? Because that's the last 90% on the unders.
Yeah, for Mathurin, I'm always scared, especially tonight, because Mathurin is one of those guys that can score 20, 25 points off the bench. And this game has got a 240 plus total with 2 high octane offenses. So it's not going to shock me if he takes 20 plus shot attempts. I do lean the under with the projection, but it's one of those where my warm and fuzzy meter is not aligned with the probability of 90% probability. So it wouldn't be one of my top 5 confidence point plays, but I would probably have some exposure to it at the bottom 5.
Okay. Do you think that because of that, like because it's tickling your spider senses about, maybe that's not the greatest pick, maybe the math just is, maybe it's a fragile projection and the math isn't quite where it should be. Does that maybe somehow make it appealing because we do have all the math, we do have the pick. So if we're trusting that aspect of it and we're thinking, all right, as other people out there in the world are putting their cards together, that one might be one that they knock down. So is that one where maybe you'll take a few shots with throwing it into the top? Say you're building out a bunch of cards. Would you throw it into the top and trust the math on it a couple times, or are you just flat out just like, nah, that one's not there for me?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the evolution of this game on this site, whereas other sites we can rely on ownership projections. That hasn't really been created for this yet. So I guess it would be perhaps positive to go against your own gut sometimes, because you're probably going to share the same sentiment as more of the opponents will. So I guess in that regard, yeah, because I do agree with the projection. Like there's not a model that I would spit out over this PRA line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not at the 90% mark at the the comfort level.
Sure.
But yeah,
you can see that clear path toward him hitting that, in other words, and where there's a lot of guys where it's just like, nope, there's a big damn boulder in the middle of that road and he is not going to be able to get through it. So I get you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hop over to the overs. We've got a few compelling overs to talk about, and we'll hit the plug in a couple of minutes after we go through these. From that game on the upside of it, Tyrese Halliburton. We talked about this one, Emac and I, the other day, and it's sitting here again. His assists line sitting at 8.5. Dude is averaging 11.3 assists. We've got him projected at 11.2. Talk to me about Hallie. Is there any reason not to just go to that and kind of smash it over and over again?
No, this was my favorite play on the NHA video this morning. And I feel like there's not been a Halliburton slate where I haven't been on the over assist line. He leads the league in potential assists per game, 21.8. That's really doggone good. And like you said, he's already averaging over 11, well above this line. On top of all of that, the Kings and the Pacers are both top 10 in pace. And it's a 240 plus total, the highest on the slate. So all of the check boxes are in his favor. This is absolutely my favorite play on the site tonight. It would be my 10 confident point play in like half of my cards out there today.
Ooh, all right. I like it. Yeah. And that way it just seems so meaty on our board. It's sitting at 95.3%. Like I said, we've got him projected to do right about what he's been averaging in a per 36 cents. He's putting up 12 assists. I mean, there's nothing not to like about this opportunity, the space, the matchup, the point total. Definitely one to chase. What could be more comfortable than loading a bunch of Pacers and Kings into your NBA lineups across multiple sites? On a night like tonight? Should be a fun one. What about Anthony Simons sitting with the Eitan Shander Memorial 3-pointers prop, sitting at 2.5? We've got him projected all the way up at 4.4. Definitely a guy who is inclined to take those shots. Do you like that one? Do you see him do you get into that? Because that's sitting around 93%.
Yeah, there's two here that we have, the Simons 3-pointers and the Simons real points. I think both are extremely live. Last night, Simons shot 16 threes, made 9 of them. Without Damian Lillard this season, he has almost a 30% usage rate. He's averaging over 20 shots per game and almost 40 minutes per game. So the usage, the shot volume, and the minutes are there. I think they're both in play, the 3-pointer and the real points. I tend to go for the safety blanket, so I'll probably have the real points more than I will the 3-pointers. But if he has 24 real points, which is what we project him at Stokastic this morning, he likely has 3 or 4 or 5 threes. So I think they're almost the same click, but I'll just kind of double hedge, get different with it, and have access to both.
One or the other most likely going to be in every card you make?
Yeah. It's just, this is such a mispriced line.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it just seems like one that he's going to be able to cruise over with ease. The 2.5 is for he just on the average 4.2 a game, taking 10.8, making 4.2, 38.3% from 3 so far for the season. Just on that alone, you can get there. There's just a lot of supporting numbers here. You can expect him to play a ton of minutes, take a ton of shots. The volume's there, and I totally agree. The points, it is technically down our board at 88.8%, so not quite the 93% that the threes are sitting at. I would consider them the same because I don't really think that he's getting one without the other. So I think we're totally there on that one. And then the last one that's 90+% on either side of it, Zion Williams. 16.5 points, just real points. We've got him projected to go about 10 over that. Seems really, really like a layup to me as well. 91.1%. Is there any reason not to trust Zion to get to that point total at 16.5?
No, he should lead the team and everything. Mentioned earlier, Brandon Ingram down. So is CJ McCollum. I think I misspoke on that earlier. So 32% usage rate here for Zion. Matchup is a little bit more stingy, I guess, with guys like Siakam, whatever. But 16.5 is still just way too low. We had him for over 24 points this morning. He's averaging 22 points. So it's another spot where the line is well below his already per game average. And now the responsibility for him to pick up the assist skills are missing, but we've seen Jose Alvarado kind of fill that role here. So I just think the line is too low for what's before him today.
Yep, I like that. It's I had a little freeze there in there, so hopefully you can hear me now. You came back, so hopefully we're live. We're talking to the people out there. I'm going to take a quick look. Mikey giving me the thumbs up. All right, Mike's giving us the thumbs up. We're good here. So that was the last one on the 90+%, and it makes total sense to me. I think that's another one to attack. Dog's also giving me some trouble under the table here, whining and barking and wanting to be petted. So you see me going like this. I'm petting the dog, not doing anything untoward on the video screen. Let's talk about our pals at No House Advantage real quick, guys. They are the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. They're changing the game. They're changing the way that these things work. You're not just picking salaries and upside projections. You're picking player props and you're building your cards. You can play against other people out there in a large field tournament and win up to $25,000 in cash. Those are the picks that we're talking about here with some of these loose lines where they operate like salaries and you're ranking them by confidence. You can also play against the house, where you're making fewer picks, but you're picking from tighter lines, like against a real sports book. So some of these real gimme 90+%ers aren't going to be there. But in that contest, if you play against the house, you can win up to 20 times your entry fee. So that's a pretty sweet offer if you hit all your picks. So that's two really engaging types of ways to play. You can bet up to 5-player prop over-unders or individual player matchups across every major sports league. They've got NFL, NBA, college football. They've got the World Cup going on right now. You can sign up with a link that we've got down in the description below. You get a first match deposit bonus up to $50. You can check out our lineup generators, our free projections up at the site, which is what we're talking about. Just go to the site. If you're playing in the against the field, go to Stokastic, pull up these projections. This is what I'm reading you this data from, where it says, when I say, oh, this is 93.9% probable to go over, that's from a number on Stokastic that you can access for free. Yeah, we project it out. We're basing it on Alex's and the site's projections for basketball, and we're translating it against these lines. It's really, really easy to take that data and build out winning cards here, guys. If you can't do it that way, we give you the free lineup generator. It's sitting there, printed out for you, and you just have to enter them. It's really easy. It's a great way to start making money, and they're adding overlay on their tournaments. They're leaving money on the table for us as a marketing tool. So there's overlay. It's the best way to make money on these. Mass multi-enter. Take advantage of the overlay. Get over No House Advantage today. Check them out, you guys. Really encourage it. $50 deposit match bonus if you use the link from the video description below. Let's take a look, do another over here, because overs are more fun, as we've talked about. We're at Jordan Clarkson and Devin Booker. We've got Clarkson at 3.5 assists. We've got Booker at 4.5 assists. What do you like on those two?
Yeah, I'm inclined to lean with the projection again. I've kind of been hit or miss with the Clarkson assist props, I think in the last week or so. His not the last 3 games, but the 2 in there. I remember against Detroit. I love point guards against Detroit. That one came back to bite me, but I have to trust the long run stats. Averaging almost 5 assists per game. Still no Mike Conley. Matchup is fine. So I would be inclined to agree with the over again. We project him to clear to 3.5 pretty well. And then Devin Booker, another guy that historically we don't really think of as, an assist dropper, kind of a scorer, but averaging almost 6 assists per game this season. So As long as Chris Paul's still out, expect some primary ball handling between him and Cameron Payne. So the opportunities should still be there for him against the Bulls. And the minutes have been really, really high for him as well. So I would be inclined to agree with both the projections and go with the overs there. But those are probably going to be bottom 5 confidence picks for me, not the top 5.
Okay. Knock them down a little bit because, yeah, I do see, both of those players. It's probably unfair to label them as like, scoring only, scoring focus type guys. Booker in particular, I think Booker's a pretty dynamic player. He and Emac and I were talking about this exact same prop the other day with his assists. And I thought it was a good one, and he does fill the stat sheet. But you could see, that's a fairly good line at that 4.5. You could see games where he's only 4 assists because he went out and he scored a bunch and did some other things. Similar story with Clarkson. So I can see those being a little bit less confident. By the numbers though, 87.9 and 86.5% probable, fairly strong picks. We've just got a ton on the board to work with as well. So let's take a quick look. We'll flip back over to the unders here. We've got actually more high probability overs overall on the board, but there is one that stands out to me because of the name brand, and it might be another one where it ranks out a little higher by the numbers than people might expect. So this might be a little bit of a slippery one to work into your cards. Nikola Jokic, 13.5 rebounding prop. We've got that as 87% to go under. Big time superstar name, big time rebounder. What do we think on Jokic there? And do you think that's maybe potentially sneaky to put into a card?
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary. Because Houston being fast paced and sometimes inefficient offensively, creating those potential rebounds.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I would agree with it. I also like, if we're in the mood for big time center names, I actually liked the Embiid under rebounds as well. So I'm with you on taking some unders on these big household names. I would still lean the under on the Jokic, more so hoping for the blowout to keep him off the court in the fourth quarter when he has 11 rebounds or something. But yeah, it's more so the Rockets scare me because they can go fast pace, and with their likelihood to need to play with a higher sense of urgency, just a lot of run and gun and missed shots, and that could bode well for Jokic rebounds. But I would agree with the projection.
Yeah, it does seem like a situational one. Just going back, I pulled up his game log here and looking back over the numbers. It looks like he's cracked that 13.5 just twice this season. Yeah, a 14 rebound game on the 30th of October and a 16 rebound game on the 22nd. But he's had a bunch of double-digit solid rebounding games, including a 12 rebound game in just 27 minutes against the same Rockets team 2 days ago. So there's a lot of good narrative support for that one. I think you are kind of chasing that same scenario. Hey, let's get him out of the game after 27 minutes and just hope he didn't get there. If he plays more than 30 minutes, he's got a fairly decent shot at cruising to this one. So that's a strong point. The matchup's a concern here. By the numbers, it is sitting at 87%, but I do think that may be a little bit fragile now that we're talking it through. So good call there. The Embiid one that you called out, sitting a couple below that one at 81.5%. It's a 12.5 line against the 10.5 projection. You want to talk that one through a little bit?
Yeah, so the Cavs run the second slowest pace. The Sixers run the fourth slowest pace. The Cavs have the third best defensive efficiency and the third best defensive rebound rates. They're 6th overall in total rebound rates, and there's just a 211 total. So Embiid's already averaging under 10 rebounds per game on the season. We project him right around 10. So it's more of a slow pace, ugly game where he's got to worry more about offense anyway. That I just kind of think that the under on his rebounds might slip by while maybe everyone else is looking at points or something like that. So that's where I was at on that. Just slow pace, tough defense, good rebounding team, and the Cavs on the other side.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think that seems to support the projection that we've got. And those are things that I like to look at here. Like, as we talk these things through, I was thinking about Jokic through a different lens and seeing it one way. And as you talk it through and you talk about the scenario, wide open game against that team, it does make sense that, maybe a few extra rebounds fall his way. Where with Embiid, as we talk it through based on the scenario, the numbers are saying this, that just kind of supports what the numbers are saying. And it helps give me a few additional reasons to play him. So yeah, I'm with you. I kind of would float the Embiid one a little bit and maybe drag the Jokic one down a little bit. Let's talk real quick. If you're looking for some betting insight, we've got a plug for you. Gain access to all of our betting experts in the premium Discord by clicking the link below. I assume it's down there in the description somewhere. Use that link to get your first week of access for free. Totally free access to our betting picks discords, which is pretty cool. It's a $9.95 a week value after that. So you're getting a nice little reward there for being a loyal Stokastic fan who's hanging out with us on the NBA NHA show. And what you can get is access to all of our betting experts for the first week for free. You get more picks. You get access to all of the people that you see on shows. You can chat with them in our Discord. The guys are popping in and out of their Discords, giving their picks all day long. We've got personal channels for each one of them. It's really cool. You can follow along. You can sweat games in the channels with people who are also tailing those bets. You can tail all the different bets that the experts make. Guys like Greg and Eric and Adam and Ben and a lot of different folks in there. Live betting. There are some quick bullets that come to mind. So sometimes you have to be in there to catch them as a line changes. Greg is great at that. Something happens, a guy scratches from the NBA, and all of a sudden he's mashing those game totals instead of worried about where his DFS lineups are, because he's focused on those betting lines. So if you're following him, if you're tailing his bets, get into that Discord. That's the best place to do it in. Click the link, free access for your first week. After that, $9.95 a week. No better spot to find bets in the industry, guys. Check out Odd Shopper as well if you want to put some numbers to some of those picks that you're making. That is our sister site. Great site over there. 2 S's in the middle of Odd Shopper. Gun, what are we thinking about Giannis? Giannis is sitting with a 24.5 real life points prop. We've got that projected to go well over against my New York Knicks. I never have problems taking guys to go over on points props against the Knicks. What do you think of Giannis here?
Yeah, in the Garden.
Guys do love the score in the Garden.
This might be the last Bucks game without Chris Middleton. It looks like he could play on Friday, so one last time to shine without Middleton. Him and Drew Holiday. I actually was digging the Drew Holiday 1.5 threes on the regular board earlier. But yeah, Giannis is a superstar, mega usage, and he's got good history in the Garden for those that like that narrative. The Knicks have been well above average in defending points in the paint, but Giannis is just not a normal human being, so I wouldn't overthink that. But I did use that stat to funnel 3-pointers against the Knicks. I think the Knicks allowed the second or third most points via the 3-ball. So not to steer away from Giannis, but to stay with the Bucks. I did like some action on Drew Holiday's threes, but that was on the main board. I don't know if we actually have that on the static line. I don't think. No, we don't. Okay,
it doesn't look like. Yeah, I've just got Giannis and some zeroed out Middleton ones.
So hey, if you want to take some versus the house on no house advantage, that was one I had for versus the house. But yeah, Giannis points. We have an just crazy over. Considering it's a 24.5 line. So I'll go ahead and agree with the over here. And yeah, he might clear this by half.
Yeah, I mean, we've got him projected to clear it by about 9. He's on the average putting up 30.9 a game, 32.6 minutes a night. We've got him projected at 33 minutes. It's Giannis. It's a points prop that looks mispriced. There's really nothing not to like. And despite their stout interior D, I don't really expect my Knicks to shut him down on the second night of a back-to-back too. Let's take a look. We'll go down board a little bit here. Let's look at another mispriced, I think, points prop here for a star caliber player. Ja Morant, 23.5 real life points. Again, another guy we've got projected to go over 30 tonight in real life sense, averaging 28.5. What do you think of Ja in this situation? Anything about the matchup that would dissuade you?
No, I'm in agreement here. The projections there. One of the things I do like to do, and maybe the users can do it as well. You can search all these players on Odd Shopper and just agree with the projection if you want, but also just see what the live line is at the books to see what kind of implied value you're getting. So for instance, I think Giannis was at 30.5. Right now, Ja Morant live line is at 30.5. So put that in
difference
perspective. Yeah, if you were to bet this line on a sports book, it'd be like minus 800 or something crazy. So yeah, I think Ja Morant's in a great position to just soar past this 23.5 over. Just makes too much sense. So I'm in agreement with it. It's kind of weird how I'd be more comfortable with these Jaws and Giannis overs than some of the other probabilities that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. But I mean, these they look like layups just where they're sitting. And we're talking about, I mean, 81.4% probable on the Ja one, 85.6% probable on the Giannis one. I would imagine some of the lack of lock it in probability is from the idea that maybe they shave a few minutes in a blowout situation for these guys. Maybe they, there is always the idea that for whatever reason they play fewer minutes. So it does kind of ding it. But when you're getting 6.5 points clearance from just what the sportsbook line is offering out of the gate, and he's basically clearing that number easily, it just makes so much sense to lock it in. So yeah, 81.4% by the numbers, but it seems like a fairly high confidence pick there for Ja. Anything else standing out to you? We got 3 or 4 minutes left in the old show here. Anything else standing out to you from the overs that you wanted to call out?
From the overs,
or the unders, either way. Anything standing out to you?
So, I mean, if we want to go back to unders on household names, one of the ones I was on earlier was actually Kyrie Irving's under PRA.
Okay.
They had him at 38.5. And yeah, every now and then Kyrie might have a 30 real point game. But so I went back and checked the assist rate for Kyrie last season without Harden, without Ben Simmons. And he had a 24% assist rate, which isn't crazy, right? 30% like the, I don't know, Trae Young's, the DeJounte Murray's and Halliburton's, guys like that. But 24%, it was okay. This year, while sharing the court with Ben Simmons, it's down to 14%. So the 38.5 PRA line, I think that's asking for quite a bit. Probably going to need 25 to 30 real points just to be live for that, because he's not going to be a guy that threatens a ton of rebounds. He might catch some long ones, and his assists have just not been there. So I'm actually on the under 38.5 PRA for Kyrie, and our projections were in agreement with that. It was at 33 projected PRA for Kyrie with a 77% probability of hitting the under. So if you want to sweat some unders tonight, I think Kyrie makes a case.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And hey, nothing like going against a villain anyway. So I'm happy to do that here. And that's all I'll say about Kyrie and his personal thoughts. But yeah, by the numbers, we've got him projected at 33.39 for his PRA. His average is 33 on the nose. If we're looking at him in a per 36 cents, it's 32.7. So because he's playing 36.4 minutes a night. So that actually makes sense. I probably could have gotten away from the Department of Redundancy department there.
Yes. I love it.
But it is it's definitely a spot where I think he would have to come out and score 30 real life points to get to that line. I think that's what the thought that I'm chasing there. He's averaging 24.5 a game, so it's not impossible that he would do that, but it just seems like there's plenty of meat on the bone there. Sitting at 75.8% on our board, so it's down card a little bit maybe from your 90%ers, but it does look like a lot of good supporting thought behind that one. Let's throw one more into the mix. Which one is more interesting to you? Nikola Jokic under 1.5 threes or Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 assists? Keeping with the household names theme.
Oh man. Probably the Jokic. Mitchell's not really here to pass the ball either.
Jokic is a threes, 1.5 threes.
Okay.
Only taking
and it's the Rockets. Yeah, I can't say it. I'm not comfortable 13 rebounds under and then turn around and take his under. Yeah, I'll go the Donovan Mitchell. All right. Yeah, I think that's the one I would take there too. 5.5 projection or 5.5 line. We've got him projected for 4.35. He does have a 24.3% assist rate. So like that's a good example of the 24% type guy. But I think there's enough clearance on that translates to a 5 assist average. I think we're decent there on that one. So between those two, I would lean that way. And that brings us basically to the end of the show here. Let's see what we got coming up tonight. There's an NBA deeper dive. There's an NBA live before lock tonight. Make sure you're tuning in for those because we've got a ton of games on deck. They probably start at 4:45, but it didn't grab the schedule here. Apologies for that, and apologies for not naming the guys who will be on those shows, but presumably it's the same regular cast of great characters. Gun, tell the folks where they can find you. Twitter, YouTube /Gundacker.
There you go. That's been Gundacker. I'm Terry McBride. This was the No House Advantage NBA Strategy Show. Good luck out there tonight, gang.